sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about.
Yeah.
Did Jay reach out yet?
Nah, Bob. He ghosting.
What the f is doing? These things sweet now because I'm in here.
It's all good. You about to get out on bail.
No,
I want you to think about this. Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other.
With Diddy in jail, the billionaire rapper Jay-Z has begun to feel the heat with a new leaked audio of Diddy from jail. In the call, Diddy expresses his frustration with Jay-Z, indicating that a fallout might have happened between the two. With the feds getting a fresh new lead, the rapper desperately tries to cover up his tracks with Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy's prison phone call just leaked and it was posted by Social Details. This is allegedly a call that he had, and there's a lot of talk, a lot of code words in there, so we're gonna listen to it together. Check it out.
do not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over.
Now, this alleged leaked call from Diddy in prison was talking about getting rid of pizza boxes. Now, if you know your stuff and you're privy, you know exactly what pizza stands for, and that's probably what they're talking about and referring to on this alleged leaked call. Pizza, for those who don't know, I'm gonna make it very clean. It has to do with children and selling.
Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about.
Now, in this alleged phone call, he starts talking about someone named Jay. People are speculating that maybe Jay-Z, but there's no confirmation. At the same time, he talks about recycling plastic. I don't know what that could mean. If you guys have any idea, comment and let me know.
Everybody out there quiet as motherfucker. Yeah, exactly. We gonna let them have their little fun, but I'm still gonna have the last laugh.
I mean, it seems by the call that he's looking for help. He's saying that a lot of people are quiet, I guess people that are on his side, and that he's gonna have the last laugh at the end.
Man, just do what I told you to do, and don't forget about the list.
And then he goes on to say, don't forget about the list. And we don't know what that list is or what that implies, but this is pretty crazy. Do I think this is legitimate? There is no confirmation yet if this is legitimate or not, but this is the alleged leak call of Diddy. Tell me what you guys.
Before diving deeper into the Diddy rabbit hole, it's worth taking a brief history lesson on the complex three-way relationship between Diddy, Beyonce, and Jay-Z, and how this powerful trio has allegedly wielded their influence to maintain dominance over Hollywood.
Now, I bet you want to know why Jay-Z and Beyonce's name keep popping up around the whole Diddy thing. Well, that's why I'm here. Now, first thing you gotta know is when somebody like Diddy gets taken down, things always start out as a rumor. Diddy has had rumors floating around for like decades. Well, Jay-Z had a problem. He's right there in the corner, by the way. Jay-Z has had a few rumors himself, but more like speculation. People see Jay-Z in a picture of R. Kelly, they're like, I guess they both make music. Then Jay-Z with Harvey Weinstein. People are like, I guess they both do business. Then, of course, Jay-Z with Diddy. Now, hold on. Here's the thing. Jay-Z and Diddy go way back. Like back to the days when they were both coming up. So you could say they might just have a lot of respect for each other. But on the other hand, people are like, well, if you've known each other that long, Jay-Z, you must have known what Diddy was on. But Jay-Z has always had a history of keeping quiet, which brings us to Aaliyah. Now, I'm sure y'all remember R. Kelly dated Aaliyah when she literally needed her parents' permission slip to get married. Now, if I remember correctly, her parents got the permission slip and said, marry who? And that's how this whole thing got exposed. Now, a lot of people in the industry actually knew about this relationship because they would work with R. Kelly. They would be in the studio with R. Kelly. Now, according to Dame Dash, who listened closely, was Jay-Z's first business partner and also dated Aaliyah when she was 21. He said this is how it went. He said he didn't want anything to do with R. Kelly because everyone knew what type of timing R. Kelly was on. He looks over at Jay-Z and Jay-Z's out here creating collab albums with R. Kelly. But then he saw why. For starters, everyone had a crush on Aaliyah. People were waiting down the clock until she turned 18. But Jay-Z decided to get a head start. Now, there was absolutely no proof that Jay-Z went after Aaliyah, but people were like, let me see another picture. But apparently Jay-Z wasn't successful and Dame Dash started dating her when she was 21. Now, what does this all have to do with Diddy? It's the secrets. It's the, like what happened to Diddy, making people wonder. Nas came out, well, he technically didn't come out and say this, but while he was having his legendary beef with Jay-Z, he's doing a radio interview and he's saying, it's weird that Jay-Z be working with people that need a permission slip to marry somebody, R. Kelly. But again, rumors, kind of like what was happening to Diddy. But then this lawyer comes out and says, boy, do I got some news for y'all. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Now he's going after Diddy, specifically, listen closely, anyone that Diddy might have done something to, or anyone who has watched Diddy do some of these things and stayed silent about it. Now, first of all, the lawyer's taking calls from anyone. So theoretically, anyone could just call trying to get some money saying Diddy did this to me, Diddy should pay me. But in the lawyer's defense, I'm sure he's looking for people with proof. Honestly, I don't know him. He could be trash. Anyway, what he said next is what got people interested. He said, and I got some names. He said some wild names. Some names that will blow your mind. He's selling this. He said, yo, y'all finna wild out when you hear these names. I'm not gonna say it now, but y'all finna wild out. So people are like, Now, in Beyonce's case, it's just because she's married to Jay-Z and she's been in the industry for like 20 years. People are like, you must have known something. But that's all people have. Now, in Jay-Z's defense, he's famously all about the money. As far as we've seen, he's always been around Diddy for like a public event or when money's involved. And the same could be said for all the other people he was around. He could have thought, oh, R. Kelly's huge right now. Let me do an album with him to boost my name up. Many people have come out saying Jay-Z is a cutthroat businessman, kind of like Bill Gates, who I actually think is a sociopath, but that's a story for another day. And cutthroat businessmen will cross any line and work with anyone to get what they want. Because at the end of the day, to them, it's just business. That being said, that doesn't make this a good thing. That's why Jay-Z can still be prosecuted for watching crimes happen but not saying anything about it. But at the end of the day, as you probably know, Jay-Z is rich. He's not going to jail for that. It would need an insane amount of evidence, and even then, he would still probably get off. But that doesn't really matter in some cases. A lot of times, reputation is the most important thing. So a lot of times, the courts will take a case they know they can't win or sign a deal just to get the rumor mill started and get people going, oh, why did Bill Cosby sign a deal? For those of you that don't know, Bill Cosby was arrested like 20 years before the big, allegations came out. They told him, just tell us you did it and we won't broadcast this. He said, absolutely. I need to save my reputation. People started asking questions. Boom, boom, boom. 20 years later, he goes to jail. But he actually did get out because the cops did say they were going to keep his confession low key, but then they used it against him 20 years later. But anyway, back to Jay-Z. At the end of the day, this could go any way. The thing is, Diddy's sloppy. He was bound to get caught. Jay-Z, not sloppy. So he would be a tough one to catch. But on the other hand, the FBI is pretty good at their jobs. And remember that lawyer from earlier that's going against Diddy and is gathering all those names on his alleged accomplices? Well, he also said that he gave a lot of his information to the FBI. And if Jay-Z's name pops up, he's in trouble, because how the FBI works is they'll take that information and they'll put it in a little vault with all the other information they might have on Jay-Z. When it's enough to lock him up, that's when they'll come out. So if you see the words FBI and Jay-Z in the same sentence, it's a wrap.
Jay-Z and Beyonce are allegedly at the forefront, fiercely working to conceal links to their past with Diddy. Desperate measures include pouring millions into hush money and buying tapes from his infamous parties. But unraveling the truth may start with one key revelation: the mysterious death of Kathy White, Jay-Z's rumored mistress, who passed under suspicious circumstances in 2011.
Which also would include Beyonce, his wife. The rumors of Jay-Z having a longtime mistress while being married to Beyonce are coming back to the surface with all the heat that has been on P. Diddy and those associated with him. Let's dive into this situation. Let's talk about the rumors, the speculation, all while keeping in mind that this is a real woman who we're talking about. She's not a character in a plot. She's a real woman who tragically lost her life at a very young age. And let's just make sure that we're being very respectful as we dive into this conversation. Back in August of 2010, a bombshell article was published in which 41-year-old Jay-Z was accused of having an affair with a 28-year-old woman named Kathy White. Kathy White is described by her peers as being very business savvy, very intelligent, extremely kind, and extremely well educated. Kathy was on track to have a very bright and very successful future. Kathy was a graduate of Howard University. She was a model, and Kathy created her own business, which was a PR consulting firm called White Label PR. Because of the work that Kathy did in public relations, she was often rubbing shoulders with A-listers, rappers, and celebrities. The article that was published in 2010 included details of a wild night out in Las Vegas with Jay-Z, P. Diddy, Kathy White, and a model named Claudia Jordan. Their evening was said to be filled with gambling, clubbing, drinking, and a lot of PDA. We know Beyonce and Jay-Z had been married since 2008, but Beyonce was nowhere to be seen at this evening out. Once this article, along with damning photographs, were released, an editor over at Star Magazine reached out to Kathy White to try to get her side of the story. This former editor over at Star Magazine's name is Liz Crocken. Liz was writing an article looking into some of the controversy surrounding Jay-Z, his history of cheating and shady behaviors, and she was building a timeline, and she really wanted to hear what Kathy had to say about their alleged relationship. And Liz reached out to Kathy White to hear her side of the story. Kathy White denied even knowing Jay-Z. Once Liz was able to produce photographic evidence, Kathy agreed to consider coming forward and sharing her side of the story. A few days after this initial conversation, Liz had not heard anything back from Kathy White, allegedly. This prompted her to give Kathy White's PR firm a call. Liz was able to reach one of Kathy's employees at her PR firm, and this employee allegedly shared that Kathy White had passed away suddenly and unexpectedly.
The story doesn't end there. Journalist Liz Kroon delved even deeper into the chilling dynamics of the powerful Carter couple, uncovering revelations more horrifying than anyone could have imagined.
Part 2. When this editor from Star Magazine found out that Kathy White had suddenly passed away, she was completely shocked and immediately wondered if this was not a coincidence. Sources close to Kathy were able to divulge that Kathy had gone to Jay-Z to let him know that she was considering coming forward and sharing her side of the story and her truth of what has been going on between the two of them. Within days of Jay-Z allegedly learning that his alleged mistress was going to come forward and expose their ongoing affair, on August 28th of 2011, Beyonce and Jay-Z announced that they were pregnant with their first child. And they announced this at the VMAs. On September 1st of 2011, just days after Jay-Z and Beyonce had announced that they were pregnant, Kathy White would no longer be alive. There are conflicting reports on the state in which Kathy White was found on that very tragic day. Some sources say she was found unresponsive in her New York apartment, while other sources say that there was a 911 call that came from Kathy's apartment. And when paramedics arrived, they took Kathy White to the hospital because she was extremely ill and then was later pronounced unalive in the hospital. Kathy White's autopsy and toxicology were never released to the public, but ultimately the manner in which Kathy passed was ruled to have been caused by a brain aneurysm. It was also heavily speculated that Kathy White was pregnant with Jay-Z's child at the time of her passing, but with the autopsy never being released, it's not possible for us to confirm that information. If this woman was pregnant, that just makes everything that much more tragic, but I just was not able to find definitive proof or confirmation of this detail, so I will just leave it at that. With Kathy being such a young and healthy woman, it is very shocking to hear that this was the way that she passed. This editor at Star Magazine, Liz, continued to dig into this situation despite the fact that Kathy had passed away and despite the fact that her boss urged her not to continue looking into the situation. While doing her research, Liz allegedly discovered that Jay-Z, the self-proclaimed king of New York, has many NYPD officials in his back pocket. Liz also allegedly discovered that there was a decent amount of coroners in New York City who were willing to rule a very obvious suspicious passing or unaliving as a natural passing for the right amount of cash. Now, I want to talk about one of the biggest theories that I've seen people speculate about online about this entire situation and why it happened in the way that it happened. And again, this is just speculation. I'm not saying that this is facts. Speculation. Many speculated that Beyonce and Jay-Z used a surrogate to get pregnant with their daughter Blue Ivy. And while of course using a surrogate is most certainly not controversial in the slightest, many were speculating simply from this clip right here that Beyonce was using a fake bump to appear as though she was pregnant.
First, there was some speculation about the varying sizes of her baby bump, but ever since her recent interview on Sunday Night HD, there's been a whole new wave of people saying what must have been a fake baby bump visually collapsed as she sat down. I admit, that did look weird, but maybe it was a weird camera angle, or maybe she wears extra padding to keep her due date a secret.
Because of the way that Beyonce's belly folded when she sat down, many believed that there was no way that that was a real baby bump. There was so much speculation about this situation that even Wendy Williams did an experiment with her audience to see if other pregnant women's bellies folded like that when they sat down.
Beyonce recently, like last Sunday, appeared on an Australian show. And when she sat down, the baby bump squashed, bent, and crumpled.
The reason that I bring this up though is because if Beyonce and Jay-Z were having a baby via a surrogate, it would be a little odd to announce that they were physically with child, unless the House of Carter was trying to cause a massive media PR frenzy to take all of the media attention away from the woman who was just recently alleged in the press to be Jay-Z's mistress, mysteriously passing away. Well, obviously that is just speculation and maybe a little bit of conspiracy, but if it was their intention to take the media attention off of anyone potentially running a story about Jay-Z's mistress passing away, it most certainly worked, because the media and the press were completely zeroed in on Beyonce and Jay-Z's pregnancy from the moment it was announced to the moment that Blue Ivy made her arrival. And at least I know, I personally never even heard about Kathy White until this whole P. Diddy stuff started flipping everything on its head. Go to part 3.
These are the recent tweets Liz Crone posted following Diddy's arrest. Although she hasn't spoken publicly since, sources suggest she may have already signed an NDA with Jay-Z to stay silent. Even Jaguar Wright touched on this in her interview, questioning the absurdity of Kathy White's sudden death from an alleged aneurysm. She suggests a post-mortem cover-up was likely at play.
Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died of an imaginary aneurysm, just like the woman who was best friends with Kim and Kimura, who wrote the book Bling and died as soon as it made the bestsellers list. Who the was these people supposed to go to? You can't go to the boss because the boss is you. And the boss's boss don't get no. Can't go to the authorities. They're all bought and paid for. You could try to get a special prosecutor, but they'll just pay somebody to reassign him to another case. Where the you go when you get over by the industry? Nowhere. That's where you go, nowhere. Which is where people like me step in. You right, I go to Diddy parties to walk mother out, cause ain't nobody stopping me when I come.
Jaguar Wright has also highlighted the connection between Jay-Z and Hype Williams in Aaliyah's death.
I want you to think about this. Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane, to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struck.
Though long considered mere rumors, this alleged connection has fueled online conspiracy theories for years. Even before Jay-Z faced scrutiny over his ties to the Diddler, now people are beginning to see Jay-Z's darker influence, suspecting his role in erasing the promising career of rising star Aaliyah.
There is no doubt in my mind that Aaliyah was murdered by her own team. Why did Hype Williams move her music video shoot from Miami to the Bahamas, where she ultimately died from an accidental plane crash, which should have never been an accident in the first place, because Lenny Kravitz sent a private plane to Aaliyah, which Hype Williams took from her. And of course, her abusive uncle, Barry Hankerson, took no blame for this accident because he went to the court and told them 4 days before they went to the Bahamas that if anyone were to get hurt, that he doesn't want to be held liable. He wants to take zero responsibility. So we've got a bunch of sketchy men who are organizing a music video shoot to take place in the Bahamas without valid transportation. The plane that Aaliyah died in wasn't even made for passengers. It was a cargo plane. The pilot was on cocaine and alcohol, and Aaliyah wasn't even conscious when she was brought onto the plane. So who is at fault here? Because Aaliyah deserves justice. So let's get into it. So on August 25th, 2001, we lost Aaliyah in a plane crash, which was deemed an accident, but I believe that her death was a wrongful death because this plane accident wasn't an accident at all. So Aaliyah was traveling, filming a music video when she passed away. This man, Hype Williams, actually moved the shoot to the Bahamas when they were already filming in Miami and using a green screen. Some people believe that this was a ploy to get Aaliyah traveling on her own because she's usually with her brother or her mother while she's traveling to shoot, so they could get her to the Bahamas and avoid the additional family members. This man, Hype Williams, is also connected to another artist named Left Eye who passed away in Honduras when they were on a trip together. So there's something going on with this Hype Williams fellow.
But what I was really more tight about was that I had heard that Lenny Kravitz had offered her a jet and that Hype had took the jet. So that's what really pissed me off about the situation when I heard about that. So you could ask Hype about that.
That's what I said. Have you ever talked to Hype about it?
Yeah.
And how did that conversation go?
Ask him.
But I also am asking you.
Yeah, but ask him.
I feel like you had some things to say to him.
So Aaliyah was working with a choreographer named Fatma, which I'm sorry if I mispronounce her name. I listened to about 5 different ways to pronounce this name, and it seems to be Fatma. So Fatma claims that Aaliyah got a phone call stating that Dame was in an accident, which prompted her to leave. At this point, she was dating this man, and she was probably concerned about her boyfriend, so she headed out. But after a warning that the plane was too heavy, she became extremely nervous and didn't want to get on the flight. People had claimed that she was drugged and carried on. This is something we've talked about in a previous video, that Aaliyah was supposedly on some type of medication and just like brought onto the plane. Like she wasn't even conscious. Fatma also took a picture of Aaliyah sleeping on the boat, claiming that she looked peaceful and wanted to capture the moment. Fatma would stay behind, claiming that she wanted an extra day on the island, which she was lucky for that one because she ultimately saved her life. But did she know something that we didn't know? When Aaliyah was out in the Bahamas shooting her music video, Lenny Kravitz actually sent her a private plane, which is very generous. But Hype Williams, the man who moved the shoot out to the Bahamas, took this plane, which is really convenient for him. But it's pretty suspicious that Lenny ever sent this plane in the first place. And when it comes to the plane that Aaliyah took, why was it available for takeoff if it was too heavy? Who approved for it to leave the runway? And the pilot had cocaine and alcohol in his system and a suspended pilot's license.
2 weeks before the crash, Aaliyah's pilot, Luis Morales, had been on the wrong side of the law when he got arrested for possession of crack cocaine and got probation after a traffic stop on July 7th revealed traces of cocaine in his car. The autopsy further revealed traces of cocaine and alcohol. Shockingly, this pilot was not certified to fly the ill-fated plane.